What's up, everybody? I'm DuncanCantDie. Today I'm bringing another Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle. Today's battle is against my boy Chris, GG Crisscross. You may know him from all of my free-for-alls. You may also know him from his own channel, which will be linked down below, where he does music covers. He's a really, really talented pianist, so he does music covers, different video game music, or anime music, or whatever you want to listen to. Some great covers, which I have used on my videos in the past. But we're about to have a Pokemon battle, and he's got a very scary-looking Mega Metagross team. Mega Metagross is a big threat. I'm once again using a Joey team. This is the second to last Joey team that I will be using. This is Joey's Mega Altaria team. Really, really cool team. Really a lot of fun to use. Hyper offense once again, so very predict heavy, and it does have that Gothitelle for the shadow trap, the shadow tag. Sorry, the trapping. And basically, I've got quite a good matchup against Chris here, so long as I don't get too unlucky and I don't let that Mega Metagross switch in on my Mega Altaria. Because obviously that Metagross does threaten the majority of my team, especially if it has Earthquake. It will kill the majority of my team, so I really need to watch out for the Mega Metagross. But if I can get rid of that, the rest of his team isn't too hard to deal with, I hope. Anyway, enough rambling, let's get into it, let's do it! So, Chris led off with his Aggro Crag, his Conkeldurr, and that's the biggest threat on his team to my team other than his Metagross. It really does deal with my team very, very effectively. I go into Jane Cobb here at the beginning. I always like to lead with my Scarf Jane Cobb, if it is Scarfed. And the man they call Jane is going to U-turn out of there. He's going to turn around his plane because he needs to get out of there. Really doesn't appreciate an Ice Punch. I'm telling you this right now. Scarf Lando really does not appreciate the Conkeldurr Ice Punch at all. He's not eating that up. I do go out into my Gothitelle to trap this Conkeldurr in. Obviously, it's a big threat to my team. Being able to kill it with 2 Psychics would be really nice at this point. Unfortunately for me, Chris does get those hacks, those turn 1 hacks, and frees me with the Ice Punch, turning my Gothitelle from a Conkeldurr counter into a dead woman walking. He does go for the knockoff, of course, and knock off my Choice Scarf. Do a huge amount of damage. Luckily for me, I do Thaw out, which is going to be a really, really good thing. Unfortunately for me, it's going to force me to trick this next turn, because after that knockoff, I am going to be able to die. May as well put a Scarf on the Conkeldurr and take away its Assault Vest, because 1 Psychic would not have been enough to kill it through Assault Vest. So the way I saw it is, instead of getting 2 Psychics off, I only got the 1, because obviously I did die. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't put a Scarf on the Conkeldurr, of course, because he did knock it off. But that would have been absolutely ideal if I'd been able to trick a Scarf onto it, at least. Anyway, I'm going to go out into Altaria here, which is able to kill his Conkeldurr with a Pixelate return if he doesn't switch out. And luckily for me, unluckily for me, I predicted him to switch, sorry, and I went for the substitute. And I just want to mention really quickly, how big is Altaria's substitute? Just look how big that Mega Altaria's substitute is. It's fucking huge. I can't even begin to understand why Mega Altaria has such a big substitute. I know it's a big poke, but whatever. Anyway, the substitute play didn't work. Obviously, Chris wants to lose his Aggro Crag, so he's going to allow me to kill it with a return. I think that was a bit of a mistake on Chris's part to sack that like that. But anyway, he is going to bring in Mega Metagross, the best play for him. Bringing in Mega Metagross on my Mega Altaria, because it will kill with a Bullet Punch. I'm going to switch out into Smogon Frog, who can eat up a Bullet Punch, and obviously does a lot of damage with a Dark Pulse if I choose to go for that. Anyway, DMX, X going to give it to you. He is going to evolve, and yes, DMX, this is where I got my nickname from. Chris came up with it. Anyway, he's going to go for the Meteor Mash, because he's real as fuck. He is actually going to predict my switch. He's going to go for the Meteor Mash, do a ton of damage to my Smogon Frog, and then he's going to Bullet Punch me right afterwards, and not quite kill me. Really, really lucky that he didn't kill me. Thank God that this particular Smogon Frog is naive and not the hasty one. And I'm going to go for the Dark Pulse and take this DMX down to about 10% health. I thought it was absolutely worth the death. Absolutely worth it. Anyway, I'm going to preserve my Smogon Frog just in case it comes in useful later. It does have 1 life left in it. And I'm going to go into Jane Cobb for the quick Intimidate down. Jane Cobb, team player that he is really going to support my team to a huge extent. I'm going to take this Bullet Punch like an absolute champion. And Chris is going to switch out because he knows that Scarf Jane Cobb is going to outspeed him and kill him with pretty much any move at this point. Anyway, he goes into Bray Wyatt, his Mandibuzz, and I actually went for the U-turn. Now, my reasoning for the U-turn was that would kill his Metagross if he stayed in, and if he doesn't, it gives me switch priority. It gives me a ton of momentum. And it actually worked out to my disadvantage, because if I'd just gone for the Stone Edge, which also would have killed him, I'd have actually had a much better matchup against this Mandibuzz. Anyway, I do go into my So Fluffy, the Mega Altaria. It is way too fluffy to be real, and I go for the return. I maybe should have gone for the Dragon Dance here, because obviously a Dragon Dance return would have killed, and it would have been the same number of turns, except it would have left me with the +1/+1. So I really, really should have gone for the Dragon Dance. I should have counted that, seen that I couldn't kill a Mandibuzz, and gone for the Dragon Dance followed by the return to kill this Mandibuzz. But I didn't, and that's in the past. So I have no other choice here but to knock it out with a second return. And now I don't have the +1/+1 that I otherwise would have. Anyway, the Mandibuzz is going to go down to that return. Of course, that is a Pixelate return from a Mega Altaria. It's not a weak Pokemon by any stretch of the imagination, and it does have really, really nice defenses. Anyway, he's going to go back into DMX here to try and give me that Bullet Punch, and I'm going to be forced to switch out once again. And I'm going to go into Check This, the nice and powerful Heatran, the Check This, the Heatran. And I am floating in the air with my air balloon, just in case he predicts it and goes for the Earthquake. I am floating in the air with an air balloon. And he's going to go for the Meteor Mash once again, because he is super real. And he's then going to switch out, which does reveal that he does not have the Earthquake, and that he is the unfortunate Ice Punch set against my team. I'm going to go for the Fire Blast here, because this is a fast Heatran with an air balloon. Very strange set, fast Heatran with an air balloon. I'm going to go for the Fire Blast. That's going to do a ton of damage to this Gliscor. And now I'm going to go for the Earthquake. He's going to go for the Earthquake, sorry. I'm going to go for the Earthquake on a Gliscor? I don't think so. He's going to go for the Earthquake and take me out, which is, you know, it's fine. I'm sacking my Heatran. I really don't need it for this team. I don't need it for anything on Chris's team, so I'm perfectly happy to sack it off to his Gliscor just to go out to my Smogon Frog, which is easily able to finish this thing off with any move that it has. Pretty much Hydro Pump or Ice Beam would both finish it off. So he's going to actually switch out here, predicting the Ice Beam, and go into his Clefable. And I actually predicted this switch. It was quite obvious, to be honest. And I went for the Gunk Shot. And that prediction is going to do really, really well for me, because it's going to take out his Clefable really nicely. And that Clefable does wall a lot of my team. So I've taken out two of the biggest threats to my team. I do lose my Smogon Frog, and that was a big risk for me to take. And I think the reason Chris thought I wouldn't make that prediction, because that prediction was a little obvious in any situation except for being on 5 HP and dying to my Life Orb no matter what. Because dying to my Life Orb no matter what normally means that you have to go for the safe play. It normally means you have to go for the safe play. But in this case, I was real as fuck, and I did not go for the safe play. And now I go out to the Lando T. I do go for the Stone Edge. He taunts my Choice Scarf Lando T, which I thought was a very strange play. Maybe he thought I was going to double out into my Heatran again, but I didn't. I go for the Stone Edge, and I'm going to just keep going for the Stone Edge. Of course, at this point, he would be dead to Stone Edge if I hadn't really, really sadly missed that first one. Those hacks coming through for Chris once again, freezing me with that Ice Punch, missing the Stone Edge. Is there anything he's not going to do to me? I'm just waiting for the crit at this point. At this point in the battle, I was just waiting to get crit and just swept. Anyway, I go for the Stone Edge again. I'm not going to be able to take out the Gliscor, of course, because it's had that Poison Heal, that Toxic Heal. But I do prevent it from getting a substitute up. He was relying on me missing the Stone Edge, which I thought was a little bit mean. He was rubbing in that miss just a little bit too much by going for the substitute there and relying on me missing. I go for another Stone Edge on the Gliscor, and I do take it out. He really had nothing he could do against Lando, and he didn't want to switch anything into a Stone Edge, of course, because Lando is a powerhouse. He is the one and only Jane Cobb. Anyway, he's going to switch out into Nock-In here, his Bishop, and I'm going to be forced to switch out. I really don't want to take a Sucker Punch from that Bishop at this point, because it would kill me, and I'm going to go out into So Fluffy. Now, he does go for that Sucker Punch, and now I'm worried about the Iron Head. Of course I'm worried about the Iron Head, so I'm actually going to go for the substitute right here on his Sucker Punch, because obviously Sucker Punch would have killed me. I think it is a Bishop, very strong Pokemon, and I think also Chris was bluffing the Choice Band here, because at this point I really thought he must be Choice Banded. He keeps using Sucker Punch, so I am going to go for the Roost. That's a nice free Roost for me. And then once again, if he's Choice Banded, then I can go for a Dragon Dance. So I'm going to get greedy here, and I am going to Dragon Dance up against this Choice Banded Bishop. Remember, guys, it's pretty obviously Choice Banded because of all of these Sucker Punches. So I am going to go for the Dragon Dance here, and turns out I was tricked. I was deceived. Chris is a downright dirty deceiver, and he finally gave up on the Sucker Punches and went for the Iron Head, taking out my sub. And of course, I am in Sucker Punch range, so now I cannot go for that +1. That +1 return will not kill this Bishop at this point, because I will die to Sucker Punch before I can do that. So I'm quite disappointed with that, and I am going to go down to the Sucker Punch right here. Really disappointed with that. I should have gone for another Roost, of course. Hindsight 2020 once again. But I should have gone for the Roost there, because obviously if he'd gone for Iron Head, I was dead. If he goes for Sucker Punch, I'm dead. But at least if I Roost, then I have a 50-50 chance of living, whereas if I use Return, I was going to die no matter what, because it would have failed to kill, and then whatever. But anyway, I go out to Breluminati, another nickname that Chris came up with for the Breloom, and I go for the Mach Punch, and I am going to take out this Bishop. Now, it's a nice free Bishop kill. He really didn't have anything switch into Breluminati, because his last poke is the DMX. He goes for the Bullet Punch on the Breloom, and I got a little bit disrespectful here. I was taking the piss. He was in a Skype call, and I was taking the piss. A little bit of a disrespect here, and I go for the Spore to put him to sleep, so that I could kill him the turn after with the Rock Tomb or the Bullet Seed, because I didn't want to Mach Punch him. Chris wasn't having any of that, of course, so he did forfeit to preserve his DMX. He was not having any of that disrespect, and to be honest, it was my fault. You shouldn't disrespect your opponents like that, especially when they're your friends. Finish the battle as soon as you possibly can. Click the Mach Punch. If it's going to kill, just click the Mach Punch. Don't go for the Spore. Don't be disrespectful. It really, really isn't nice. Anyway, it was a really, really good battle. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much to Chris. Please do check out his channel. Once again, that is down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, remember to click that like button. It really does help me out. I don't set like goals. I'm not about that life. But it really does help me out if you can click that like button. And I will see you guys next time.